When Tiger burst onto the scene, I mean, that was really got me into it because he made golf so exciting. And like, I'm 5'7". It wasn't that unusual for a 5'7" guy to play on tour 30 years ago, but now it's pretty unusual, right? Most of those guys are 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", and it just takes a higher level athlete now. And
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Switch Up Sports, and today we've got another coach interview with a coach named Coach Bissell. He is not related to the vacuum, but we're going to bring him on. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to get to find out a little bit about him, and coming on now is Coach Bissell. Coach, welcome, and it's a pleasure to meet you. I know we chatted it up a little bit in the green room, but it's a pleasure to meet you. And I was, kind of talking with you before. You grew up playing golf. What was the thing that even got you into golf? What's the great thing that brought you into the sport? Say hi to the folks, and then that'll be kind of the intro question for you.
yeah, man, thanks for having me on. I think as a lot of people who grew up in the time that I did, my first influence was certainly my father. He's a good player in his own right and played golf all the time. So he got me into it. And then, not to say it was boring before Tiger, but he certainly elevated it to a level that it was not even close to before. And I think he brought in better athletes. Certainly, like we're seeing a much higher level of athlete playing the game now, and we see that with the speed and a lot of bigger guys, right? Like I'm 5'7". It wasn't that unusual for a 5'7" guy to play on tour 30 years ago, but now it's pretty unusual, right? Most of those guys are 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", and it just takes a higher level athlete now. And my father and Tiger were the two biggest things for me. And so I was about 6'7" when I first started getting into it. And then I would say when I was like 11 or 12, that's when it really took off into like an obsession.
Yeah, I can definitely feel for you on that one. Tiger had a very big impact, both, just throughout the game, throughout the money of it. But then, of course, like, hey, what are you doing on a Sunday afternoon? It's like, well, I'm watching Tiger. Like, I don't know what else there is to do other than, yeah, I'm watching Tiger. And, I can remember, especially that '05 Masters, the chip from the back of the green. I was, at Applebee's with my dad. I'm always going to remember that memory. And, something like that in
Yeah.
'05, like I know you probably have some of the same memories, and what's one or two of those that stand out to you? Because I mean, we know he has hundreds, but what are the one to two of those big ones for you that really made a lasting impact?
Yeah, I think the 2000 U.S. Open at Pebble was really one for me because this is when I knew he was a little different. He won that golf tournament by a record amount. And usually when a tournament is over, no one cares to watch it, right? If a guy's got an 8-9 shot lead, it's like, well, what do I need to watch this for? But with him, like you just had to see like how much more dominant is he going to continue to get.
Right.
So that 2000 U.S. Open, and then I would say the '08 U.S. Open as well. I mean, to see him thriving in pain like that with a torn ACL on his lead leg, by the way, it's not like if it's on your trail leg, you can manage it a little bit, but on your lead leg where you're twisting and putting pressure, it's just unbelievable that he was able to overcome that and through that level of injury and win the debatably the most difficult tournament to win in golf.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it is it's not even like he did it for the 4 days. He then had the extra fifth day. Like, hey, you somehow struggled through the four. You then had to play a full another day and then an extra hole. Like, I love it. It's still, again, one of those that it's always gonna. I mean, even right now, like I even just got chills because it's one of those I remember still, and that walk up, that chip where it bounced in, and the hat was off, and he just sit there and giggled and laughed. And then Stevie pulling him up because he couldn't get up onto the green from that slope. Like all of those, just all are electric. And so let's transition a little bit into you. How was your playing days and how are your coaching days intertwined? What are some things that you did maybe as a first initial player when you first got started, or maybe as you got to high school, college, there was a little bit of a different tweak or a little bit of a different angle that you looked at it with? Does that impact your coaching at all, or is it kind of you've kind of felt the same, early on? Maybe you were just a feel guy and you've just stayed a feel guy, or what are some things that are kind of impacting your coaching now?
Yeah, so as a player, I was actually an extraordinarily technical player. There was nothing I loved more than working on my golf swing. And I always, I hate to admit it, but I think when I was young, I probably cared more about my golf swing looking really good than the actual scores that I was shooting. Like for me, it was so important that everyone looked at me and said, man, that guy's got a really good swing, right? Which now is so silly looking back on it because we look across the PGA Tour and there's very few perfect golf swings, But I think part of that came from like my Tiger inspiration. Like he had fundamentally a near perfect golf swing. And so to my young brain, the idea was, well, if you want to be great, you've got to have the perfect golf swing. Well, now we see that's certainly not true. And he's really been the only guy, right? If we look at Jack Nicklaus had quote unquote flaws in his golf swing. Scotty Scheffler's golf swing's far from perfect, right? So I think a lot of my coaching is from learning from the mistakes I made. And I'm still a pretty technical guy, and I like working on fundamentals. And I don't mean to diminish it. Fundamentals are important, but at the end of the day, this is a skill game and it's a mental game. And if you can't conquer the skill piece, and just like you would in any other sport, like I don't think every time, like one thing we do that's so unusual in this sport is if we play a bad round, a lot of people they want to go change their golf swing. Like when Steph Curry has a poor shooting performance, he doesn't go to the gym and rebuild his shot, right? So like there's a skill piece to this, and I think I just learned so much from so many mistakes I made as a player growing up, and I certainly practiced too much and didn't play enough. I think there needs to be a balance there. Like again, just as in any other sport, right? Like if you're a basketball player, yeah, you need to do skill work and you need to be in the gym shooting a lot of jump shots, but you also need to play a lot of basketball, right? Dribbling around cones every day isn't going to get you where you want to get. And so we try to treat golf similar to other sports. Like I said, at the end of the day, this is a skill game and there needs to be a base level of fundamentals. But I think more than anything in coaching, I just learned so much from how many bad things I did as a player that hurt my progression.
Yeah, and the sad part is I feel like I fell into that very quickly of playing the golf swing versus just playing golf. And then sometimes, you're out there on the course and you're trying to find it rather than just playing the game. And I think that's a very good angle of it that I've even kind of like, I grew up playing a ton of sports, but what you just said, where it's just like, hey, Steph was a little bit off. Like he's not changing anything. He's just gonna go find that rhythm again. He's gonna go find, oh, here it is. Yep. All right, we're back. Versus, oh, I need to tweak this. Oh, I need to change this. Oh, well, I'm not supinating. I'm not pronating. Oh, I'm not this here. And so many of us fall into that versus just, hey, man, just, yeah, go get it out. Just relax, play golf. Like, get the ball in the hole, simplify it. So, did you play any other sports? I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing maybe some basketball with the quick basketball reference.
Yeah, I played a little bit of basketball. I wasn't great. I think some of that's due to size, right? But definitely loved basketball. Like until I was probably 13, I was pretty sure I was going to the NBA. And then everybody got taller than me and golf took over. But yeah, I mean, I grew up with basketball and I came from a wrestling family. Never really got into the wrestling, but definitely came from that side. But no, basketball and golf were really the only two that I played growing up.
Yeah, and you couldn't have been the next Muggsy Bogues. I think you could. I think you could have, but I definitely know that feeling of, oh, people were a lot bigger than me. This didn't really work. I was kind of the same. I was a really, really late growth spurt. I didn't really grow to like the ending years of high school. I was the same. I was about 5'6", 5'7". And I was, we talked about it kind of quickly of wrestling and whatnot, but I grew up wrestling. I wrestled 120 in high school. And so it's like I was one of the smaller guys, and golf very quickly was my thing as well, because it's just like, yeah, this works, and I don't have to beat up my body, and hey, my back doesn't hurt, or hey, my head doesn't hurt, and if that was wrapped into your perfect day, playing golf or playing basketball, you can kind of do both of those for a really long time. But for you, like, what was the moment that you kind of knew, like, hey, like, I want, like, yeah, I want to play golf, but like, I want to do this really, really seriously. What was that kind of moment for you, and what made you jump into that? Like, what was maybe the epiphany? What was that thing that kind of like registered like, yeah, like I want to play, but like, no, I would really want to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to I think Tiger was so inspiring for me, right? Like and my team gives me crap a lot because I talk about Tiger too much, but like that's how big of an inspiration he was on my life, and for me, like just that desire was always there to want to be the best at whatever you do. And I put everything into golf for a very long time. Looking back again, I know I made a lot of mistakes in terms of how I was preparing. And so that's really, I think, what got me into coaching is like when I don't know if I'd say, I mean, I failed in terms of like I didn't reach the level that I ultimately set out to reach. But at the same time, like I learned so much, and golf's given me everything that I have in life. I mean, if it wasn't for this sport, I don't know what I'd be doing. And so a lot of what coaching is it's giving back, right? And like trying to help guys not make the same mistakes that I made. And that passion still runs deep, just in a different way now. It's not about me; it's about helping young men get to the place they want to get.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big aspect, and I think I actually appreciate that a lot because I mean I can look back on my experience and I can know, hey, I've had coaches that have had that route and have had that background, and like that's why they do it, versus some of those coaches that fall into the line of just like, oh well, like I'm going to mold these guys and I'm going to have them do the things identically and I want them to be in this certain area so that way they can be under my, rather than just like nurturing and let them grow and let them experience and let them be as good as they can be. It's not about an ego of like, oh, well, I need them to get here. But at the same time, it's more to boast about myself. And that's a whole different thing when it gets into. But in terms of your coaching style and some of the guys that you're looking for, what are some big aspects that play into your recruiting? Is it, hey, I want to see the way this guy plays the game as a whole, or hey, I want a guy that's maybe a little rough around the edges and I can see some glimmers in there. Like what's a big thing that plays into your recruiting? What types of guys are, you catch that good eye for?
Yeah, so many things are teachable, right? So, and I really believe that. Like, there's a lot of things that I think are teachable that others may disagree with, but I think just about anything in life is teachable, including your discipline and your habits and ideas of that nature. So, I'm looking for really three core values at the heart of it, and getting to find like figuring out if a guy has those takes a lot of research, and you got to dig pretty deep. But I look for competitiveness, passion, and then a chip on their shoulder, right? Which all three of those are somewhat related.
Right.
But number one, like going to passion, like you got to love the sport. That seems obvious, but you know, you're in sports too. Like you find out a lot of these guys don't actually love the game as much as you would think, right? And so I think it's really important to be one of those guys that loves the game, and it's something that you want to do in your free time, whether anyone's watching or not. And then competitiveness is my number two, which is, I think, a very undervalued thing, right? Like we assume athletes are competitive, and they are to a certain degree, but there's a very different outcome from being someone who likes to win versus someone who hates to lose, right? And if you don't hate to lose, you're not going to work in our program. That's got to leave you with a bad taste in your mouth. And the guys who are, I don't want you to linger on a failure necessarily, but like if someone's chumming it up and smiling right after they just played poorly, that's usually a little bit of a red flag for me. Like you should hate losing a little more than that. And then finally, I think that chip on your shoulder, because that's that final piece that will carry you through the motivation. Like, what's going to get you up on the days that you don't want to get up, right? Because we all have those days. Like, the alarm goes off. And if it's voluntary, like, are you going to get up and go work out in the morning? Are you going to go to the course early in the morning and outwork the others that you're competing against, right? And if you don't have that chip and something that's motivating you, you're not going to get up on a lot of those days. So we just really look for those three core values. And then, of course, after that, we're looking at the physical evaluation, right? Is what are they good at? What are they not good at? What do we believe as a coaching staff we can fix, and what can't we fix? And I think that is very important to be honest with yourself and know your own skill set, because there's certain things that I'll see where I'll go, okay, I can fix that. That's not a problem. Even though it's an issue right now, if he buys in, I know we're going to be able to fix this. There's other things I'll like, I don't really want to discuss what they are, but there's other things that I'll look at and I'll just say, I don't think I can do anything with that, right? Like I'm not saying no one can, but like it's just not my skill set to fix what this person's issue is.
Yeah, passion and competitiveness are very big in my eyes as well. I know that's something that you said, and then of course with the chip on your shoulder, directly drive to some of that motivation. But like the days where it's, hey, it's cold, hey, it's windy, hey, it's really hot, hey, maybe you don't feel great. Yeah, that are you at the course? Are you chipping? Are you hitting your 3 footers? Hey, are you working on your pyramid? Are you going up and down to it? Are you holding yourself true? Are you playing little games with yourself? I can remember all of that stuff, and that's something that I think is again massive when you look at, hey, are you happy that you just played poorly? Because if you are, then like you said, maybe you're not in the right spot. And so some of that competitiveness, do you use that in practice? Like, do you have these guys really, ranking and playing each other's in purely skill stuff? Or is it more just like, hey, you guys are playing, you got 9 holes. Hey, it's 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4. Is that kind of stuff? Or, you guys playing different kind of games all the time?
Yeah, so we try to keep things as competitive as possible. So whether that be a contest at the practice facility, or it be on the course, and we call them qualifiers, right? Pretty much every college golf team does them. But no, we're trying to create the most competitive environment possible, and it leaks into the weight room.
Nice.
Like we had one day where after we lifted, we went and ran our hockey arena, right? So we were running stairs at our hockey arena, and I got pretty upset because there was a couple guys that clearly weren't trying to compete. Right now, on the flip side, we had some guys that I could tell that even though they were tired, they just got done lifting, we're running stairs, it's not fun. I could see that internal drive of like, I still got to win this. Right. And like, those are the guys that we want, that they want to win at everything that they do. And again, they hate losing. Right. The other thing that I'll look at, like, this would be an example of something that if I could pick up on this on a recruit, if I had the opportunity to, right. If I hear a story about him, like, I beat him in ping pong and he wouldn't stop playing me until he beat me. Right. Like, that's a huge green flag for me because it's like awesome. Right. Like, this is a guy that hates losing. Like, I want the guy that's going to keep playing you and stay there for hours until he beats you. Because that's just the way that he's made up, and that's his internal drive. And that's something that's absolutely massive for our program. We try to cultivate that at practice as much as possible.
Heck yeah. And especially here, like, you get these guys, I guarantee you, some of them, it's probably turns into the 3 point contest, and then it's a baseball contest of some sort. And then they're out there throwing a football around and doing something else. Oh, nope, we need to challenge into this. That's all of it runs together. I absolutely love it. And that's where I think without sports, I don't really like, I always like, it's like, hmm, I wouldn't know almost any of my friends without sports. Like, oh, I wouldn't know. Nope. I don't think even I can really name people that I know that didn't have something to do with a sport of some sort. So for you guys, I know you mentioned it in terms of practice facility. What types of stuff are you guys working with? What stuff do you guys have access to? And what things do your guys have an ability to go out and, add to their, hey, this is going to help you build in this way. We have these tools available. These are our resources. What's that look like for you guys?
Yeah, so we're really fortunate at the University of Denver. University of Denver puts a massive commitment into athletics. I mean, our hockey program's won 10 national championships, and we've got various others in across multiple sports. And so their investment in sports is a big reason why I chose to come here, because you don't see that everywhere. So we're really fortunate. We've got, as far as like our weight rooms and stuff, they're state of the art. I mean, we've got the biggest weight room I've ever seen in my life. It's got a 90-degree turf field going through the middle, or a 90-yard turf field going through the middle of it. And that doesn't take up all of it. It's a pretty darn big weight room. As far as golf facilities, we do own our own golf course, which is a huge, huge deal.
Nice.
It was graciously bought for us by the Moore family, and Ron Moore, who's not with us anymore, but obviously a tremendous man. And he bought this golf course for us and donated it to the team. And it's a beautiful golf course. It's in great shape. It's got enough length for us that it keeps us competitive. And then we have our own driving range and our own practice area back there with a chipping and putting green. And then we do have an indoor facility with multiple simulator bays that we've got GC quads and TrackMans, and we've got an indoor putting green. And then we also have access to quite a few country clubs and private clubs around the area. So, I mean, our guys are pretty well taken care of. I'm always trying, like, I want to raise money right now for a new and bigger indoor facility.
Okay.
But and I mean, we're gonna get that done. But I look around at what we have, and like, we don't have any excuses as far as facilities go. That's not what we can. If we're not successful, we can't blame it on facilities.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. And so you even mentioned it in there, length. So a course like that, what types of things? Because I played my freshman year, and I think some of the almost all of them were basically between 72 and 7,500. What types of stuff are you guys looking at now as the technology kind of continues to advance, as both in the golf ball and with drivers? Is that something that's starting to kind of change some of these courses that you guys are actually playing in tournaments wise? I mean, Oakmont's at what now? At 8,200 or 8,300 for the US Open next month, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pushing 8,000 now. They do move tees every day. They always like
Mm-hmm.
to kind of boast in the beginning of like it's a certain length, and a lot of times it doesn't actually quite get to the length they're saying because one day this par three's moved up and this par
Right.
four's moved up or whatever. But to your point, I mean, golf courses are getting extraordinarily long. I would say in Division 1, our average setup is going to be between at sea level. It's going to be between 71 and 7,300 yards.
Okay.
Now you got to remember we're in Denver at elevation. It makes about a 10% difference. Like we play University of Colorado's event every fall. That's set up close to 8,000.
Wow.
But it's
It's
it's at
about
elevation,
72.
so it doesn't feel like 8,000, right? But yeah, I would say if you had to put an average number on our yardage at sea level, I'd put it at 7,150, 7,200. That would be a pretty normal tournament.
Okay. Yeah, that's one that's just kind of getting crazy. And like you said, when some of these guys, DJ, I remember walking next to him at the Byron for years. 6'4", Bryson's a big dude. And then you've got guys that, you watch him hit a golf ball like Kyle Berkshire and you're like, oh my gosh, like we're getting ridiculous to some degree. And so being at up in the mountains at elevation, you said it's about 10% difference. So is that something that kind of impacts you guys when you do go down to sea level in terms of doing the reverse of the yardages? I mean, if you're, hitting a lot of balls up at elevation, does that kind of change on the flip side, versus like, hey, I always was right around sea level, maybe, a couple 100 feet of elevation, maybe 1,000. And so I remember, hey, we're playing up at elevation. I struggled with a lot of those yardages. Do you guys have the inverse that happens, or is it actually easier going down from elevation?
So I think if you're practicing enough and putting in the time, it's not that difficult of an adjustment. And the other advantage that we have, if you look at our roster, nobody's from Denver.
Okay, nice.
So it's actually the adjustment is when they come here, right? And then, but we hop them on a launch monitor right out of the gate, have them reconfigure their yardages. They should be, and we're asking them to do this. They should have a card, like I have a card that tells me this is how far I carry everything at sea level. This is how far I carry everything at 2,500 feet. This is how far I carry everything at 5,000 feet. And if I have those three, it should never be too big of an adjustment. But like I said, I think one advantage we have is none of our guys are from Denver right now. So they're all used to playing at sea level. So it's actually like this is the difficult place for them. And then when we go to other tournaments, they're back to normal.
Okay. So looking forward, what are some things that you're excited for? I know you're only a couple years in now here at University of Denver. So, what things are you guys looking forward to? You've got a little bit of momentum. Have a couple years under your belt here at this university. I know you said you had previous coaching experience, but what things are you looking forward to for next year and then 3 to 5 years out from that as well?
Yeah, so I mean, just from a like statistical and competitive standpoint, my goal is nothing less than for us to be a top 25 program in the country. And with our facilities, our location, we've got pretty good weather here in Denver. Like, is it as good as Arizona? No, but we have year-round golf. I mean, we play every month of the year and we get 60, 70-degree days in January and February pretty regularly. We have great facilities. We've got the travel schedule that is pretty freaking elite for a mid-major school. And so we have every resource we need to become a top 25 program. But we've got to take it baby steps at first. You know, our ranking moved up 67 spots throughout this year. So we're starting to see some things go in the right direction. And so first we've got to become an at-large regional bid team, right? I don't want to have to win our conference championship every year to make regionals, right, or postseason. So we've got to at least get to that point. I think that's possible next year, that we could see ourselves in that seat where we're an at-large regional team. Just because, again, I love pressure, but I don't really love the pressure of one golf tournament defining if we get into regionals or not, right? So that's going to be step number one. And then after that, I just want to continue to grow. I mean, our philosophy, it's called Kaizen, which is a Japanese business term for daily improvement, right? Like that's the only thing that we focus on. So we've got these big picture goals, but we know the reality is control what we can control. And that's our day-to-day process and just trying to get a little bit better every day. And so those will eventually lead to our goals as far as a competitive standpoint. But I think it sounds kind of cheesy, but it's reality for me. What we're really trying to do here is help 9 young men become the best people and golfers that they can be. Right. And that goes back to Kaizen. Like every day, what are we doing to improve as golfers? What are we doing to improve as students? Were you a better son today? Were you a better brother today? Were you a better friend to somebody, boyfriend, whatever it is? Right. So, and every day just trying to elevate that a little bit, because the reality is, no matter how good we get, one guy per team maximum is going to play high level professional golf, right? And again, I know it's cliche and it sounds cheesy, but like it's more important to me that every one of these guys, when they go into the real world, as we call it, and they start working and they're around professionals all day, every day, that those people say, man, University of Denver really produces some great guys. This is one of our best employees. He's kind, he's courteous, he works hard. Like those are the things that we're really looking for as far as what our reputation is.
I absolutely love it. And I think you probably hit the nail on the head there. I mean, Kaizen is something I've implemented into my life as well. Like control what you can control, waking up, hey, we're going to take another step today. We're going to get a little bit better today. We're going to do a little bit more today. And then after a while, you turn around and look and you're like, oh, wow, I've come a really, really far way. So, coach, I think that's probably the best spot to leave this at. I mean, I feel like I'm about to go run through a wall right now after that speech. Like that was incredible. Like what your program stands for, what you're building, what you're set up for going forward. I absolutely love it. I hope that everyone else absolutely loves it as well. Any person that listens to this, any person that's about to go play golf, any future recruit that maybe can come through, like this program, the way it's built, like I absolutely love the sound of it. If there's any final lasting things that you want to say to anyone out there, this is kind of open status floor point. If whatever things you want to say at this point, wave hi to someone. I don't even know. This is just kind of the goofy part of the show. But any just final closing things for you?
No, I mean, I really appreciate you having me on. First and foremost, this was a lot of fun. I think, like you said, where we ended is fine. Like if I had a message to anybody, it goes back to control what you can control. And I think sometimes we get in places in our life that it seems like we're so far away from where we want to be, and that can be extremely overwhelming. And that's why we talk about Kaizen, right? Like you said, is if I just break it down into daily things, just trying to get a little bit better every day, all of a sudden 3 weeks have passed and I'm in a very different spot than I was. Whereas if we look at it as a whole of, I'm here and I want to be here, well, that can be overwhelming. Like, let's just inch it day by day and focus on creating a little better habits, and you'll get where you want to go. And you might even get further than you ever thought you could go.
I love it. I love it. And to all you listening out there, you need to take this as advice. This is coming from a very seasoned coach, someone who knows what he's doing, and take that, ingest it into yourself, control what you can control. That's the message for today. So, all you guys, I appreciate you listening. That is Switch Up Sports for today with Coach Bissell. You have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll talk to you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, you too.